Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Ubuntu Touch Q&A, the UBports Foundation's show discussing the development of Ubuntu Touch and our community's questions. This is episode 84, streamed live on September 12th, 2020. My name is Dalton, and joining me this week are Marius's keyboard.
Yeah, that's not me, but hey.
Florian.
Hello, everyone.
And Alfred.
Hello.
And welcome all of you, including your keyboards. Florian quickly mutes. Okay. We have a significant roundup of news and questions to talk about today. Wow, I didn't realize it was this much while I was writing the document. Okay, let's see what we can do. But I think we should start out with one of the very close things, and that is OTA 13. That's right, we announced it was going to be out last week, and then we said it was going to be out this week, and now it's going to be out next week, assuming no other problems happen. We had to delay this week. We found a critical bug that was causing text messages to not wake the device, or rather they would wake the device, but it wouldn't stay up long enough to send a notification, which wasn't ideal. Got that fixed up. It should improve, not having done the research myself, honestly. It should improve general notifications, and it should improve your reception of Marius's keyboard. But overall, I think apps are taking wake locks a bit better now. So between system services doing messages and notifications, it's all getting a little bit better. Of course, OTA 13 is our 13th stable update to Ubuntu Touch since Canonical dropped the project, and it includes some other cool things like somehow that was worse than the keyboard.
Say again, Dalton, please. No.
And
no
it includes
pressure.
It includes other cool things like stable updates for your Xperia X. Alfred, no pressure. And other devices. We have Morph Browser. Qt Web Engine has been upgraded to Qt 5.14.2, bringing a newer version of Chromium and security fixes and touch handles for selecting text. Finally.
Yes, finally.
I know it's a basic feature. Don't at me, but it's really nice to have now. In fact, I was using that this morning with my trusty new Pine tab, which is now arriving in people's hands. The Pine tab. That is just a bright white screen. Hopefully no one griefs our show notes since I just showed the URL.
Oh yeah, that looks better. Look at this boy.
Mm-hmm.
Finally, that you can have a tab again with Ubuntu Touch.
Yeah, screen's a little bright.
That's really nice.
You want to
is
see
nice.
something? Want to see something cool though?
We doing the bang thing again?
Remember bang? If I can plug it in the hole.
Yeah, you gotta get the keyboard in the right place. So yeah, this device has a magnetically attachable.
Bang!
Okay.
Look, bang! Okay, you're not doing
This device has a magnetically attachable and detachable keyboard dock with both a surprisingly really nice keyboard on it and a trackpad that's, all right. But the trackpad, I know, has some troubles in Ubuntu Touch now. That's not because the trackpad is bad, it's because Ubuntu Touch is bad. You heard it here first, folks.
Oh boy.
But generally, I've been really enjoying this device. I've been using it to write all of the show notes today with the keyboard dock. I didn't have any huge problems. Marius, I can still hear your keyboard.
I changed my keyboard here.
And we've already got our first big update in its release candidate channel. So if anyone is willing to head over to update settings in your updates and switch to the release candidate channel, your Pine tab shipped with 64 gigabytes of eMMC. I thought it was going to be 16 gigabytes and sized the image for that. That was the incorrect decision. So I wrote a little thing that will expand the 64 or the data partition to the end of the disk. And if you update to RC, soon to be unstable after we get some more testing on that, you'll get your full 64 gigabytes. It'll actually show us 58 gigabytes of total storage because gigabytes and gigabytes are weird. But Marius, you can try that out since you just unboxed that thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, update that thing to RC.
I would do.
Right. So,
Go ahead. Yeah.
Go to the release candidate channel.
Yeah.
We don't know yet when the next batch will be available. We're still getting these ones all delivered, Pine 64, and it's an enjoyable device to use if you're just trying to use it for work instead of being like me and getting upset because every little thing doesn't work, even though it doesn't work everywhere else. That's just me.
I have felt that the last weeks.
Yes. Almost sorry.
No, I'm sorry. I'm a slow bum, but yeah.
All right. Something that's going to help the Pine tab though is our upgrade to Qt 5.12. Qt base and all of the Qt libraries. Now, this is separate from that Qt Web Engine upgrade I was talking about earlier, which is 5.14, because Qt Web Engine can be built separately from the rest of the Qt stack, or with the rest of the Qt stack, but it can be built out of sync, unlike the rest of Qt.
I found bugs.
Yeah. Okay. Please file a bug report. Let's see. Everything's compiling, as I said, but we're still working on some more bugs relating to the bottom edge and changes to JavaScript between 5.9 and 5.12. But generally, this is an update that really speeds up the responsiveness of a few things. App launch times are improved, and generally, it's something to be pretty happy with if the bottom edge wasn't crashing all the time. But we're hot on the trail. And by that, I mean Rodney keeps swearing at it. Thank you, Rodney. You know it's a bad day when you have to get Valgrind out, but, what is going on? Okay. Marius, would you like to talk a little bit about, while we're working on Qt 5.12 in our operating system, some more upstream things occurring in other distros?
Yes. So some upstream work is happening on Debian and also on Manjaro. But let's start with Debian for now. With Debian, this is going slowly but surely. So we are getting more and more components in. Mike Gabriel is doing all the packaging and the sister components from Lumiri into Debian. This is a long process. For anyone that know how it is to get things into Debian, you would know, especially when we have like 100 packages that needs to get in at least, or maybe around 100 packages. This is going to take a long time. We are getting closer and closer, and the hardest part is now in the low end where we need to rename a lot of the components to Lumiri. That has been the biggest challenge and the biggest stopper to get everything renamed and also use the newest and most upstream versions, and also get everything over to GitLab. We are doing this in the same
one fell swoop.
Maybe that was a bad idea because I see now there's a lot of work. That's also making it really, really slow. But yeah, and also Mir and the Wayland test suite from Mir team, VLCS, is now building on all release critical architectures, which is really nice. So now we actually can get that in.
Which means that Debian can release with that package.
Yes, which means that Debian can release with those packages, and they get into the next release, which is Buster. Is it? No, no, Bullseye. Bullseye.
Okay.
Bullseye.
I'll trust
Bullseye.
you.
And in the same vein, we are also working with the Ayatana indicator team, which also Mike Gabel is a part of.
Yeah.
To switch from the old Ubuntu indicators to Ayatana indicators. They are basically a hard fork over to Ayatana indicator. And this is also going in parallel with the Manjaro effort, because the Manjaro indicators that we have on the Manjaro device right now are actually Ayatana indicators. If
Nice.
this would focus, and
Nice.
just to prove that this is, you can actually see a green distro.
Wow.
thing.
It's a green
Wow.
distro.
It's a green
Yeah.
distro.
That's Manjaro.
That's Manjaro.
Lumiri.
This is Manjaro running Lumiri with cellular network and SMS working and everything.
And that's a Pine phone.
This is a Pine phone. This is a Pine phone with the UBports edition. Yeah, and this version is also soon coming out with Lumiri. So now I kind of mix those two a little bit. But let's go back to Debian. Qtmir is also about to enter Debian. This is currently waiting on me, as usual. So this will get a complete rename, and it also get the multi-display stuff directly in there, so we don't have to change the Debian files, which means that they have to go to the new queue again. So that's why I package that immediately. So because there's a new package called lib qtmir server dev that needs to get in.
Okay.
Too specific. So yeah, Qtmir is getting in, and both Debian and more or less Manjaro is it's getting to a point now where it's actually usable.
I saw that you guys were testing apps today, so that's a good sign.
Yeah,
I mean,
it is.
Still are bugs, but that's a good
There-
sign if you're to app running.
There's definitely bugs. Ooh. Oh, if I didn't press the...
These are definitely bugs. Computer
No,
turns
that
off.
That was me pressing the power button. That wasn't a
All
bug.
right. Bottom edge on dialer, I'm guessing.
Dialer, a little bit stretched, but dialer does indeed
What
work.
dialer?
It does.
And I'm sure if you open the bottom edge, it crashes.
Yeah, let's not do that.
Uh-huh. That's what Rodney is currently chasing down in Qt 5.12. Good to know that more than one project has it, because then it'll get done faster.
Yes. System settings working. Messaging
Running.
is working.
Running.
I will.
You have your phone number on there. Good work.
Yeah, I will hide my phone number.
Maybe stop.
But as you can see, it actually does send SMS and stuff.
We cannot see
Kinda
much. It's
buggy.
okay.
No,
We believe you.
yeah, we believe you.
Believe
all
me,
right.
yeah. Or just try it yourself. You can download it from Manjaro. There's
Yeah,
images there.
they have the images on their forum, I think. Image links.
I will send image links.
Yeah, why don't you send that to me? You can get that in the description.
If anyone from Manjaro is watching, send the link.
Gosh darn it.
I will. I will find it.
Daniel asks, will Manjaro be using click packages, or how are they planning apps distribution? They are planning on using Arch packages. So, repackaging the applications as theirs.
Well, the thing is, we don't know yet. I think that's the TLDR.
Yeah.
We are talking about maybe using either Snap or Flatpaks. And also maybe have a compatibility layer for click apps, but it wouldn't really work that well since they are mostly compiled for the 5.9.
You need to include the entire dependency tree.
Yeah, so that's why probably something like Flatpak or Click.
Okay. Or Snap, you mean?
No, Snap, yeah.
All right. But right now, I do see that you guys are making package builds for them.
Yeah, well, for the core apps, yes.
Yep.
And that's probably going to be the norm for the not long term, but
Short.
short term version. Probably a long time, not long in sense of Debian development, but long in terms of Manjaro.
Okay. Well, let's talk a little bit about our online accounts integration, which really I didn't have a segue for. Alberto, or Marty, has been working on the online accounts integration because he tried to sync his Google account and he wasn't able to sign in, and that made him upset. Thanks, Marty. We love you. So he has a couple of PRs into the online accounts suite to clean it up first. And then I think, he has a prototype running of actually fixing the online accounts library so that you can sign in with Google again, which has been broken for a while. And, well, it's newly broken in everything, no matter what. It's not a regression. It's not like you can go back to an older version and fix it. Google service broke it. So, but that's really cool. I know that a lot of people rely on the Google account sync both for calendars and for contacts. And if we can make it easier for people to get over to Ubuntu Touch from, their existing systems, why not? Especially since it's there. Okay, and as we're talking a little bit about online services and stuff, why don't you talk a little bit about something you're doing with teleports, Florian?
Yeah, let's reveal a new secret feature that people already demanded quite a lot, and we didn't talk much about it, but here it is. So basically, I can show you, maybe if it works. Here comes the phone, and here comes, and if you look at the bottom of that thingy, there is this new icon, and this new icon here should turn. Hello, everyone. How does that sound?
Ooh.
Bing.
It sounds like GSM interference, actually.
That's a voice message. So basically, voice notes, voice recordings will be in the next release, probably. It's already working quite well. Let's try this out. Hello, everyone. How does that Perfect. So quality may differ, but it's actually cool. So I think that's something that people will like. I'm not using that myself too much, but some people told me, yeah, audio recording is super cool. I want to have that. And it was in the old Telegram app already that we had until last year or so. And so it's bringing back a feature that already worked. It's quite an important thing to get the old features in also before we invest in new features, I would say.
Yeah, and I know that it's very important for people who maybe have trouble with the first language in written form of other people. So like a lot of people who are, from the Middle East, countries in there, will send me voice messages instead of text messages after we start a conversation, just because it's easier for them to speak the language than to write it sometimes. So that's really helpful for a lot of people.
Yeah, sure. And it should be in the next version. Thanks to Michele, my mic, he made again a wonderful design. It looks nice. You can press and hold the button like a record button. If you release it, it's getting sent. If you swipe it to the left, it's aborting the recording. It's really easy to use. And we just have to fix one small thing with the upload, and then it's ready. So yeah, let's look forward to the next release. That will be an awesome feature.
Cool. Let's see.
So Florian, you also got interviewed by the Binary Times.
Yes, so that was very nice occasion. Today in the morning, actually. So I already started the day off with having the mic in front of me, and now on the evening I still have the mic in front of me. But it's okay. Sometimes you have these casting days or recording days. The Binary Times is a podcast format, let's say, where they talk about general aspects of GNU Linux software, of open source, all the things that surround us. And they got interested also in Ubuntu Touch. And they put me up for the show to talk about development history of Ubuntu Touch. And if anybody wants to listen to that, that would be at thebinarytimes.net. Just open in your browser. It's already ready. They already cut everything and put it online in no time, which is very impressive because we need much longer to put our Q&A into stylish form. Yeah, but that's the real dedication. Thanks, guys. Probably they're listening now again. It was a really fun and pleasure to be on your show. And that's kind of
Wow,
cool.
their show notes are intense.
Yes.
Nice.
That's what I'm saying.
All right. Well, since we've gotten through the news there, let's go and talk a little bit about the people who make this all possible. So, thank you to our sponsors, found at ubports.com/sponsors, or I'll read them off to you right here. Smooze, Vala, Pine64, and Private Internet Access are all UBports Foundation sponsors, and we thank them very much for their support, allowing us to, hire people full-time to work on Ubuntu Touch and make an operating system that y'all love and we love. I'd also like to thank our community sponsors on Patreon, including Laurentine Tilleman, Rana Mirkolev, George Toma, Michael Dale Meyer, A. Thiel, Max Fielder, James H. Jackson Jr., Jaden, Casey Lambie, Darren Olson, Nathan Thomas, and Glenn Hancock. Thank you to all of you who selected the community sponsor level on Patreon. It is huge for us, and it's very helpful, and it's just motivating to see all the people who are willing to help us out. If you'd like to join any of them, have me mispronounce your name as well, you can head over to patreon.com/ubports and pick the community sponsor level. Or if you prefer a different option, over to ubports.com/donate. We have Bitcoin, PayPal, LibrePay, or Patreon options for you, or a direct IBAN number if you're in the EU and would like to make tax-deductible donations. And now it's time for us to take some questions. We take these questions from live chat as well as our forum every 2 weeks over at forums.ubports.com. You can head over there, ask your questions early, and get them answered right here. Now, apologies, we don't always have time for everyone's, but we're going to try our hardest. And starting up this week is a question from Facon, I hope. Hi, all guys. Any news about Godot and UBports? When is it possible to make Godot games for Ubuntu Touch? Thanks for all your work. Thanks for the question. We are not ourselves, as in anyone in this video chat right now, working with Godot on making an Ubuntu Touch export template. That would be something that we would need help from someone in the Godot community and someone from the Ubuntu Touch community. If someone's in both communities, the work happens faster. But there's some sort of prior art. There are templates for snaps and flat packs, so it's possible that you could remix those to make a click template, but it's hard to say without looking more into it. It's not something, I don't think it's something that we, as in the team hired by the UBports Foundation, will have time to look into much time soon. Okay.
All right.
Hit it, Florian.
Next one. Question by Alter. Hello, everyone. On the previous Q&A, there was a question which left me puzzled. I was about possible future inclusion of a firewall. From what I understood, there's already a firewall in Ubuntu Touch, which you can turn on in the terminal. This is something I did without adding specific rules. Why wasn't there any mention of this? Should we answer this as we go, or I read everything up to... well, let's take the second paragraph as well. Also, you told the introduction of a firewall could be messy because the OS uses older kernels. What do you mean by that?
Right. Okay, so I can start with the first part about... yeah, sure, you can enable from terminal, but the point was more to have it enabled by default, or either to have it a user-friendly way of enabling it, because enabling something from terminal, it's not user-friendly. Of course, many of our users use Linux by day to day and can do it. And sure, yeah, then anything is possible if you want to do it from terminal. If you really wanted to, you can do pretty much everything that you can on Linux there, since it is Linux. So that's basically why that wasn't mentioned. But yeah, you can do it. The next one is about the older kernels. What do we mean by that? Because older kernels doesn't include all the APIs that newer software uses. And since our software base is fairly old, I don't think that will be a huge problem. But I think it will be a problem because we don't know every kernel that's in there. This need testing on every device, and it will be fairly complicated to fix issues if they come up. But the older kernels also aren't tested in that way, since the older kernels are made for Android, and Android doesn't test these at all. So many of those parts are untested. And also bugs that aren't fixed by the manufacturers, because they were never used. That's also a problem that we might hit into when we try to enable this. Of course, it might be possible to test it, but then again, it comes back to the user friendliness, and that's where it all boils down to. We need to find a user friendly way of doing it, since doing it from terminal is possible, but not user friendly.
Yeah, and he does. There are 2 blog posts that he posted where it does mention a firewall and the ability to do it from the terminal. So yeah, you totally can. It's just not the thing that we would want to have as like the default way to do it. We prefer to give a nice way to enable things like security features. But if a firewall is part of your security strategy for your device, then by all means enable it. Tell us if any problems happen, because if we're going to create a firewall someday, it'd be nice to know that those problems will happen.
And also, one of the things that he did mention also is the question: is it better to not enable a firewall? And this is also talking about the battery life and general performance and stability, usability, and all these comes into enabling a firewall, because it is a bit more resource heavy, maybe not by a huge margin, but
it's a consideration to make.
Yeah, it's an added resource, it's an added maintainability and all that.
Okay.
And also it's a question: do we actually need a firewall since we don't have anything enabled outgoing or incoming?
Anything listening?
Any ports listening? And since Android isn't using any firewall, they're using the Android paranoid kernel network kernel thing. It's called Android paranoid network, actually.
Yes.
That they use them, and which basically says, hey, any incoming, just
drop it.
Yes, drop it. We can use that. That could work, but that's not Linuxy.
Yeah.
And that got dropped in newer Android kernels too. So.
Oh, really? Interesting. I didn't know that.
They are moving to mainline, so I think they are doing it that different way now.
Oh, so it'll be okay. I understand.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Gizmo Chicken had a question for us this week.
Gizmo Chicken asked, would you please talk a little bit about UTQEMU on any documentation available for it?
Yeah.
So I will start with the last one. No, there's not any documentation available about it. It's basically a tool I threw together for myself and I pushed it. So it's nothing really official or well, it is usable, but it basically is a bit hacky way to get Ubuntu Touch running in a QEMU or
Virtual
virtual
machine.
machine. Yeah, in a virtual machine in a easy way to use the terminal to get started with, and it downloads it and sets up and everything. It's a fairly simple script. It has like 100 lines of code. It's a bash script, but it basically removes the hassle of setting up, because that's what I did before and set it up manually. So I made a script that does it automatically. I also tried making a snap version of it, which actually works nice. So
But it's not released on the store.
it's not released. Well, it is actually. It's released on Edge.
Is that?
Mhm.
I didn't. Did it work? I think it needed
Yeah.
dev mode confinement, didn't it?
No, it did work.
Hmm.
But it's fairly unstable, and not. So maybe sooner or later, but right now it's just a bash script that I made and threw up there, so anyone can try.
Yeah. Question came in from Rocket to Infinity. Will web app push notifications come with the new Qt Web Engine upgrade? No. So actually, being a complete and utter nerd, I read up a little bit on how web push works while I was away, and actually figured out that web push, this is a tangent, is a lot like current Ubuntu push, where your web application in the user agent or browser tells your web application server to send messages to a web push gateway, and then your device manages a single connection to the web push gateway, which actually gets the push notifications. So in that way, it's actually not so unlike Ubuntu push, which is interesting because we thought that it was different from Ubuntu push. This is all a long-winded way to say, no, we don't automatically get those with the new upgrade to Qt Web Engine. And if we did, they would only work when the browser was focused in the foreground. So it's not entirely useful, even if we did get them. However, it does give us options for possibly integrating actually good support for web push notifications in the future. If you want to ask for a timeline on something like that, I don't have one for you. But now I know that it is a little bit more possible, and I at least see a way forward. And then his next question was, what about Redshift and video chat? Redshift would be something that would be implemented more in the Mir layer rather than in the Qt Web Engine layer. And unfortunately, because of the way that the cameras work on Android, this update does not automatically give us video chat either. That will be a separate thing that we have to create and build and integrate into Qt Web Engine.
Speaking about Redshift, this is something I actually looked into a while back. I made a pseudo hacky thing in Unity 8, which just overlays a filter, which weren't too good.
No.
But I also made a Mir version, which swaps EGL buffers and swaps the color. In
that should work better.
But it sucked. So I need to find a better way to do it. And the new hardware composer from Hardware Composer 2 actually implements a way to make overlay. So we probably can do it with newer version of Android, but the older version, we either need to find an EGL method for doing it. Maybe it would be better to actually have a shader overlay which swaps the buffer or swaps the color values. But swapping color values live is really heavy if you do it on the CPU, so we need to find a GPU way of doing it. I need to sit down and think about it again when I have time.
Okay, we're gonna put that a few months out.
A year probably.
Yeah, it's certainly an interesting problem because you say that you've taken a crack at it. I have too. It was similarly bad, but yeah, it's an interesting issue to work through.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Ubuntu Touch. Ubuntu Touch has a question. Ubuntu 2.
May I ask
That's a
what
question.
the plain box on Florence shells is?
I'm not quite sure what he's talking about, but I think it could be that thing. That's the only thing that there is a plane on. So basically, you can build a small plane with that, and you have a small rubber band, and then you can just wind it up, and it should fly a few meters. I never assembled it. It's probably something I will do with my son when he's old enough. Means in 1 year or so that he doesn't destroy it immediately, but yeah, it's waiting there for better times. And I don't think there's any. Does any of you guys see anything more plainish in the background?
No, I think that was it.
I think that was it. That's true. There is one thing here, but this is really off topic. I don't know if there's.
Welcome to Exploring
here.
Florian's Shelves with the UBports Foundation.
Yes. There I also have this plain approach charge actually, but that's a story we come to later.
It's a story
Maybe
for
in the
another day.
UBports chat after the show. I can explain more about that.
Actually, when we're talking about the shelf, I remember Lucas asking why you have a folder of him, like the Lucas.
Yes, the file is in the background here with name Lucas on it. It's so first of all, it's not Lucas from Pine 64. Yeah, it's also spelled a little bit differently. There is a Z missing. Actually, that's the name of my son, and that's his file for him. Yeah? So we put everything in a file. We are very bureaucratic parents.
But we like to say that's how we treat our vendor partners. We have a file of
Let
them.
me
personally.
pull your file, Mr. Pine 64.
Mr. Lucas.
Yeah. No, it's all good. It's not a file about our partners. Those files you wouldn't see in the background actually, so they are not visible. That's great.
Yeah, we have them hidden. We have all the files on Lucas.
Marius, I think Ubuntu Touch has a different question.
Okay, yeah.
Yes. Now back to serious.
Let's
please.
move on. Why was Chromium chosen as a basis for Morph browser instead of Firefox? Would it have been easier to It would have been easier to install add-ons like NoScript Badger with Firefox? ? What about Firefox Focus, aka Firefox Clar or Clear? So that's made K, Clar.
Klar.
Clar.
This word is illegal.
Well, actually, Clar it works in Norwegian too. So, but yeah. And a simple question is that because Chromium Qt shows Chromium.
Yeah. Yep.
The long answer for that is that for us to maintain our own embedded web engine or even Firefox itself would not be a task that we could do.
Right.
A browser is such an extremely large space. It's impossible to explain. That's also why we dropped the Oxide engine that Canonical made. Like one of the first thing that we did, drop it because it's not something we could do. We would have at least one full paid developer to even just maintain it, and then another one to add new features. So for us, it wouldn't be feasible to do.
Right. And to be clear, we didn't choose Chromium as the base. We chose Qt Web Engine as the base. There aren't many integration points for a Gecko or Servo browser as there are for Chromium browsers nowadays. And that's sad, but it's just the way that things are.
Yeah, and even then, maintaining the Firefox bindings or the Gecko bindings for QML and Qt would be quite an interesting task by itself, because Yola are using it, for example, in Sailfish OS, and they haven't been able to upgrade the core engine version in the last 2 or 3 years or something like that.
Oof.
Which is
More
sad.
than that.
That's that's not good.
It's a pretty old version that they have, because I remember
that's
looking
sad.
into that.
Because we
It's really
all
sad.
want to use, the browser made by the company that at least says they're respecting us, but
Right.
it just
I'm not sure why
Practicality.
Firefox or Mozilla that is chose to not implement a better embedded way, because Chromium's embedding is amazing. They made it so easy to do, and that's also why stuff like what's that called, Electrum, It's based
Was
on
easy to
Chromium.
make.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
you can't base it on Chromium because it's just an API and you can use that. But
There is-
Firefox,
there is
What?
some
Go on.
kind of middle layer that you can use, and I don't remember the project name exactly, but it's a very hacky way. It's sort of like libhybris hacky style of doing things, where you can just hook into the API of the Chromium embedded framework and present everything through a Gecko window, and that might work, but I'm not sure how that's going to work with the OpenGL way of rendering things and whatnot. So it might work, it might not work. It's certainly a big task to find that one out.
Yeah. Hopefully someday we see better integration points for Gecko or Servo, but I think the Servo team got laid off now, so yeah.
Actually,
it'll come back.
Servo was a really, really interesting project, and I remember trying to make a QML binding to it, and I came so far that it just rendered, but nothing more than that.
Nice.
Yeah, that was the simple part. Well, that was the easy part.
Hopefully we see something better in the future, though. Yeah.
Yeah. I would like to also see a Spider Monkey implementation in Qt, but that's
Spider Monkey? Okay, whatever.
it's a JavaScript implementation by
right.
Mozilla
Okay.
instead of V8.
RE88 had a question this week. Why was Sphinx chosen for our documentation instead of, say, MediaWiki? What are Sphinx's advantages over using a wiki? Oh boy, this is one of the first things I changed after I joined the UBports project. The first was switching our blog to something sane. But the reason why we chose Sphinx originally instead of a wiki is because we had a wiki and it got vandalized, like, all the time. And we didn't want to be wiki admins then, and we don't want to be wiki admins now. So Sphinx provided us with a version-controlled and not easier to use, but easier to manage space for documentation. Now, of course, expectations didn't match reality because I wanted to, and this is actually what I was originally hired to do, and the project lasted all of like 3 months before I started doing other things that were more important. I wanted the documentation at docs.ubports.com to be a full porting guide, to be a full user guide. So like everything from booting up your phone and you going through the wizard to unlocking and locking. I wanted all of that to be in that site. But because of reality, we didn't quite get that far. There are a few guides on how to do things like use Libertine or Anbox, but it's not what it was originally designed to be. Now, today, there are some places where wikis are being used successfully within the UBports project, such as for the Android 9 porting documentation. But I'd really like that to become a part of the Sphinx documentation eventually, because it's nicer to read. It creates ebooks for you, which might not seem like a big thing, but as I've been trying to get offline more, documentation that can be read offline has been really important for me, and it's made it really a lot easier for me to get work done while I'm actually on the computer. So I fully support using and continuing to use Sphinx, or if someone really hated Sphinx, make docs. Either way, Read the Docs does it for us, which is another nice thing. It's that someone else is hosting it for us. It doesn't get vandalized all the time. We have version control over it and control over what goes into it. And it was meant to be more of something that MediaWiki has trouble handling.
Also, MediaWiki it's a hassle to maintain.
And Marius doesn't like PHP.
That also, yeah. But it is a hassle to maintain. I maintained it before.
And also, localization is easier at the current stage because due to the extraction of the strings has full support for our translation stuff. So you get rather consistent translations, which in a wiki is always a bit of a trouble. Yeah.
Yep. Internationalization on Sphinx is pretty good.
Yeah.
It's not perfect, but it's much better than a MediaWiki at least.
Yeah. So, Reed Redactions wants to know if there are any more details on the progress of the PinePhone. Did anyone say PinePhone today? Not so much. So let's have one more PinePhone progress report. Small, maybe. Because
Well, yeah. Marius has been working on the PinePhone image with Manjaro, which actually is going to trickle down to us because Manjaro has Neurophono, which we need to upgrade to. And
But
they're building.
we used upstream no phono on the PinePhone.
Yeah, we need to use a newer one. They have the new kernel that we need to upgrade to, and other things that we haven't quite gotten around to yet. But because we're getting around to that and getting Lomiri into the hands of more people, it's going to make it better for Ubuntu Touch for our users back home.
Yeah. And also, not only that, it also will make it easier for us in the future, and also make the components more stable on Qt versions, because we are now actually both testing and using the device on different versions of Qt. Because right now we are basically just using one version of Qt, and no one else is testing it elsewhere, and we have these huge problems when upgrading. Rodney will tell you, and it would be better to actually follow the Qt versions more like frequently,
Closely.
because then the stepping stones are smaller and we can step little by little instead of taking.
Yeah, you don't jump up the stairs, right?
Yeah, you don't jump on the stairs, you walk up the stairs.
Great.
Yeah, that's a
quote.
blast from the past.
That's a blast. That's an old great quote, but it works. And also not only Qt, but anything else between the sun that we use, because we use pretty much everything. So it's everything from glib to newer libc to newer kernel APIs and newer kernel in generals, and also even newer GCC, like building on newer GCC, getting a lot more warnings, getting better code quality out of it, and also it gets us to shape up our code and make it better,
Releasable,
releasable on
taggable,
different
all of those important things that are actually going to be really good long term.
And also, I feel like for me as a developer, it's good to go over many of the components and actually fix many of the code craft. To add, recently I just fixed history component to actually build with warning as errors and
all warnings.
All warnings and extra warnings and stuff like that, which is really, really good for code quality, because while debugging this, I found out, hey, history component just randomly crashes because it reached an end of a function without actually returning anything when it was a return function.
Whoops.
That would be avoidable if you would build it with warning enabled. I don't know why that's allowed at all.
Maybe you want to return the null pointer. I don't know.
Well, it doesn't return anything. It just says false, because it returns nothing. Like, it doesn't return.
Oh, C doesn't handle that for you.
No.
Oh. Well, anyway, yeah. The progress of the PinePhone is we're working on a different operating system, and it's really good for our operating system.
Well, it's really good for everything, to be honest. Because these two universes are so different, right? You have the Ubuntu one, where we have legacy software, where we run like old software, stable, we follow the stable releases. And then you have Manjaro, which follows Arch, which is bleeding edge, so we get all the new stuff. And it's so good to make an OS work on both of those. Like,
yeah.
And also, as I say, we fix also speed improvements, because guess what? When you fix one of the warnings, they actually make the code more optimizable by the compiler, and it's more optimized.
And if you can't hear it, Marius really, really likes doing this. And I think that's something that we've really been missing lately, is something that's just like, I feel so good doing this work.
Yes, it's so relaxing to actually use the PKK build
Fast
system.
and loose package builder. Yeah.
It's just like it's relaxing because it's basically just a shell script. And also Thor can say, please praise PG Bill one more time. he can read my mind, I think. But it's just relaxing to actually just focus on development instead of focusing on packaging. That like
Cowabunga it is.
like right now when I develop on Ubuntu Touch, I usually just skip the whole packaging stuff and just building manually because
I know.
it's just easier. But on Manjaro, you can actually just use the package manager and the package builder, and it just builds. Oh, but it does. It ignores tests, but we can enable that later.
Okay, we are going to really go to this side with that topic that we can talk about for hours, right?
Well,
Marius likes it, and that's what's important to me because
yeah,
as a developer, it's nice. As a packager, it doesn't do a lot of the things that Debian does because it does a lot of automation and it fixes all the shellings and it figures out what dependency it uses automatically and all that.
Yeah,
it's
nice
great
things.
But I like the lazy way of. Yeah, I enjoy it as a developer. It's really nice. I understand why Manjaro is such a developer. And Manjaro and Arch is such a developer forward OS because it's yeah.
it doesn't.
All right.
Next question, please.
Let me
We're
write
running
that
out of
down.
time otherwise. Alfred, that's for you.
Yeah.
Will Ubuntu Touch run on the Pixel 5? You're a Pixel man.
Currently, no. And yeah, that's the short answer. The longer answer is what is required, and I'm not really sure. Is the Pixel 5 even released, or is it just in the leaking state right now?
I think it's still leaking. When I went to the Google website, I was looking for a phone the other day.
Yeah.
It was still the 4A.
There's still a few leaks coming out, so I don't think it's released right now. So I will assume
It
it
doesn't
will
exist yet.
Yeah. I'm
Okay,
assuming
next question.
Well, he might be asking if Google contacted us to actually install Ubuntu Touch on it.
That would be cool, but
Unfortunately,
no, they
no.
have not.
No.
No.
So we would
If they
to
have,
wait
we can
until-
tell you.
We would have to wait until someone steps up with the Android 9, Android 11 enablement. And
11.
currently we're stuck with 9, so I'm pretty sure it will ship with Android 11 because that has been released a few days ago.
Yep.
So yeah, it will take some time until we can make it run on the Pixel 5. But there
When
is
is I/O?
I hope for the love of God that Google didn't change another, like remove the init ID again or something like that.
Yeah, hopefully.
Because
That is
they
the
added
thing.
in 2 releases and then added it back in the next release and now they remove it again. Google.
But if you want to
Google.
run it with the Pixel, you can try it with the Pixel 3a. So there is a working port for the Pixel 3a, which uses the GSI by Orphan. So you can install it using your usual TeamWin recovery projects means of installing things. So yeah, if you want to run it on some Pixel, you can. It's just we're probably not going to make it work on the Pixel 5 anytime soon.
What?
Thanks.
Completely. Well, it is on topic, but the Pixel 4 series, what are they based on? Are they Android 10 or?
They are probably Android 10. Yeah, I'm not really sure, but I guess so.
Okay.
Yeah. The 4A isn't a bad price, I guess, but yeah. Let's see. It looks like the next big Google event might be DevFests in October, so maybe that's where it's going to be released. Who knows?
Alfred,
let's
take the next one.
do a few more.
Yeah, Martin Reekmeyers. I hope I didn't bug that one up. Yeah,
More
doesn't
go.
doesn't matter. Doesn't
Wow.
matter. The coolest feature for a newbie to get inspired by Ubuntu Touch.
Conversions. Next.
Conversions. That and multi-display, which are not the same thing. Remember.
Yeah.
Having the same
Actually,
app running on all your devices is really cool.
Oh yeah.
I feel like conversion multi-display is probably the biggest like show-off thing.
Those are the selling points that you give to, your nerd friends and everything, right?
But it depends on the user. I feel like a newbie probably wouldn't care that or even know about privacy and stuff, since it's kind of I think you need to be a little bit tech savvy to know about. But maybe the privacy and the independence, the community side of it, would be something. But also, I feel like stability and stuff like that are also good selling points. The update cycles, and also the long support cycle of devices and stuff like that. There's many things that would take another hour to go through.
Yeah, things
But-
that we like and things that people that we know like. But
Yeah,
for every person, you gotta see why you want to use it yourself. We can try to tell you why you want to use it or market to you why you want to use it, but if you don't really want to use it, you're not going to, and you're not going to enjoy it. So, like,
Right.
yes, it is really cool, and you can do things like, here's my tablet, and I just took this off, and now it has a more tablet-like operating system with a keyboard on screen. But
yeah.
that's cool,
That-
but it's also kind of expected nowadays, so...
Well, not really. Like,
Yeah.
no one else does that.
Windows tablets, iOS, that's just
No, but-
expected, but
Yeah, but none of them go actually into a tablet mode. They all stay like they don't go to a window mode. That's
Windows
like
does,
Windows.
but fair.
Does that? Does it?
Oh yeah, Windows has tablet mode now. Like
Oh,
really
okay,
good
that's-
tablet mode. What do you think the Surface is for?
I thought it was just always like window mode. I don't know.
No, now it has more like a staged mode. But yeah, like I said, it's just kind of expected stuff nowadays. So one, Canonical is ahead of their time, and two, ask some people what they like about it. Ask us what we like about it. That's fine. But maybe if you talk to us a little bit more about what you want to do with your device, we can figure out, if you can successfully do those things, and even if you can do them better than your current solution.
But I also feel like coming directly from the developers of the OS is probably
Might
not that.
be a little biased.
Yeah, it's probably better for someone that use it but don't currently like develop on it, because also developers have a different view, especially when you know the components in and out. You have a different view of the operating system. You don't look at it the same way. So what I'm getting excited about might sound like moonshine to someone else. So I feel like this must come from someone that is just a user and not a developer, in my opinion.
All right. Well, I think that will about do it for time today. What do y'all think?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think.
All right. Here we go. Rodney says moonshine is exciting. To the right person, yes.
Okay, let's end it on that.
To the right person, it is. Well, thank you everyone for joining us for this episode of the Ubuntu Touch Q&A. It's been a lot of fun. I'm glad to be back. Thanks for having me. Thank you all for joining me, Marius, Florian, Alfred. Nice to have you.
Thanks for joining.
Of course.
And
Thanks for your hosting.
if you want to find more about Ubuntu Touch, you can find us on all sorts of social media like Facebook, Twitter, PixelFed, Mastodon, LinkedIn, Instagram, or if you want our news directly in your chat client, Matrix or Telegram news channels. If you'd like to chat with us, you can find us on Matrix, #UBports:/matrix.org, forums.ubports.com for longer form content, or at UBports on Telegram. All the links to all of those are down in the video description if you're watching this on YouTube. And thanks again, everyone, for joining us. I've had a lot of fun. We'll see you again in 2 weeks. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.